Now, next is Barkingham. Before we talk about Dragonspire, Barkingham's next. Because you'll definitely guarantee get to go to Barkingham before it, and that's a farming area, so that counts. If those are side quests, it does count, and it also gives you the best of theme early on level in history. Which sadly would leave some gear, I will mention later on, useless. So, what's the most difficult in Barkingham? Of all bosses, I don't think any dungeon carried the difficulty as much as Monster does. Because Monster is one of the few bosses that recognize you on you being new type of thing. Because they expose people who are new to the dungeon and who are not very easily. Because the ones who are new will always select every single note. And making the battle so long and make the battle so tricky that you had to sacrifice for some reason. Like, you're wondering, like, what is happening? And even if it was easier, I will still say it's not easy, even if you're a high level, because you don't know who is going to be who's going to be with you, and who is new and who's not. So that's why the final boss of the Barkingham dungeons is always the most difficult. Even if I want to point out Jackal and the first boss in the Saving the Queen dungeon. So, now Dragonspire, believe it or not, Mount Stair is still the most difficult dungeon. And specifically Mount Stair, it's specifically which boss you want to fight, and even then it will take a while. Even though I want to point out others, I think it's just best to point out Mount Stair dungeon for Dragonspire. Now, we're skipping this same monopolist, but I will not skip the weaving though. If you're wondering what's the most difficult weaving in general, that goes to life. If you're asking what's the most difficult weaving in a short span of time, it's Storm. Either ways, usually the ones with the blades have more difficult battles, while the ones who don't have blades have the easier battles. That's all I'm saying. So, but it just depends on your weaving, of course. It doesn't, like I say, I'm not the expert on this, but I'm just pointing out the most difficult.